Do you feel society is more litigious? Answer. Well, from my perspective, it is tangible that people now are so much more willing to go to court than ever before. Just take a look at the phenomenal rise in the number of court cases on a global scale. Hardly could anyone overlook that trend, really. There should be tons of reasons behind this, but due to time constraints, I would just be listing 2 of them. The first is that democracy is now turning into something all the rage. It is ingeniously used by governments, especially political parties in the industrialized nations of the West, as a kind of their strategic maneuvers to win the hearts and minds of the populace, almost having the general public eating out of their hand. As a result, citizens are now granted the right to basically sue anything that goes against the Constitution or irks them in their daily lives. To my mind, it's just a product of laziness and avarice, with those ambulance-chasing lawyers springing up like mushrooms. Lawsuits are filed every single day, from extremely important matters to issues that seem so trivial, to such an extent that is actually ludicrous. Take France, for example. There was a case of a little boy who injured himself at a local park. He was just messing around, climbing the tree to play, and ending up falling off, breaking his leg. Anyone witnessing the scene must have thought, "Poor little boy, but you deserve it." He should be held accountable for his thoughtless action, which caused detriment to his well-being. Well, not necessarily. What his family actually did was to sue the local authority for having planted the trees without fences surrounding them. What I found even more ridiculous is that his family eventually won the case and obtained an enormous compensation from the local council, and they later had to put on a sign saying, "Climbing trees may be dangerous," and installed unsightly fences around big trees in the park. Just imagine a scenario where every parent would do the same if their kids got injured. Will the park get closed down simply because it has too many trees? In Vietnam, however, things are quite a far cry. There now appears to exist fewer cases revolving around trivial issues, as the majority of trials focus on heinous crimes like embezzlement, child sexual abuse, or homicide. Just 3 weeks ago, for instance, the principal of a secondary school in Phú Thọ, a province in the northeast of Vietnam, was sued for sexually harassing a number of male students, which has generated public outrage. The final verdict is unknown, but this will go down in history as one of the most notorious cases in Vietnam, which goes viral in just a very short time. Another big trial that took place last year was between Miss Vietnam in Russia, Trương Hồ Phương Nga, and a Vietnamese billionaire, a mogul named Cao Tuan Mỹ, the former CEO of Diu Nghiem, a huge Vietnamese technology company. Cao accused Trương of cheating and appropriating his assets of 16.5 billion VND. Nonetheless, Trương won the case, proving her innocence at Supreme People's Court of Vietnam and revealing the existence of a 7-year binding contract between her and the magnate, which specified that she had to be his concubine during the given period, and in return, she'd receive 16.5 billion VND. Having said that, this was the worst scandal in Duong's life as an artist, a celebrity, which already destroyed her image and hard-earned reputation. Another factor to blame should be the increasing interconnectivity of everything in the dot-com era as a means of spreading juicy gossip as well as alleged complaints. With the assistance of several handy gizmos like cameras or smartphones and an account on a social networking site like Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, a piece of sensational information could be within easy reach of billions of people worldwide in the blink of an eye. Just take a look at your own handheld device. Hardly does anyone scroll through their Facebook news feed without happening on an article about domestic violence, elderly mistreatment, or animal abuse. I once came across a status about a dog brutally hit by a neighbor of its owner, which was accompanied by a dozen genuine, poignant images to corroborate the news. This then caused a great outcry from the netizens, and many of them even suggested that the owner take legal action to seek justice for the dog. Don't get me wrong, I love dogs and sympathize with their plights, but filing a lawsuit for the sake of a tiny little canine? Doesn't it seem utterly risible? Still, everything can happen in such an interconnected and globalizing world. But, nothing from this new media age is similar to things people did in the past, when hardly any individual or group would be held responsible for delving deeply into these issues. Now, people just feel that there must be some kind of an online prosecutor. The United States, with a large number of lawsuits crowding its courts each year, about over 90 million lawsuits are filed on a yearly basis in this country, is an emblem of a litigious society where people are likely to sue at the drop of a hat, and every living organism could be in a court case once in their lifetime. Lawsuits and rumors of lawsuits everywhere. With a burgeoning number of lawyers every year, lawyer totals are now on the upswing. And according to the American Bar Association, there are currently nearly 1.2 million lawyers practicing in the United States, which relates to about 1 for every 300 people. Why? Well, because people want to seek redress for their suffering, and lawsuits are a quick way to a fortune. This is not to mention the fact that one of the most extraordinary features of the American legal system is that it allows plaintiffs to sue people and companies only tangentially connected to the alleged complaint. Suing has just turned into a relentless competition amongst individuals, and most typically among tech groups, where intellectual property is highly prone to get copied. I remember Microsoft Corporation once sued Community Health Systems for woefully copyright infringement because it continued to use Microsoft products in a number of sold hospitals. Apple also sued Samsung for violating its iPhone patents, and Samsung eventually had to pay nearly $540 million for compensation. But I believe this patent battle between the two giants just won't go away. But the very question we now should ask is, are we lawsuit happy? And that is the end of my answer.